And now, finally, introducing the formal speakers for the event, starting with Wendy Porch. So, I'll say a few words about Ms. Porch before she gets up here. Wendy Porch first joined CILT as our executive director in 2018, just a few months after I started here. So we kind of came on board almost together following Sandra Carpenter's retirement. Before CILT, Wendy worked for many years in a wide range of roles related to disability and accessibility. She came to us from Realize, an HIV rights organization, and also worked in the UK as a research fellow on disability issues for many years. So we have lots of stories from Wendy about her UK adventures, good and bad. While at CILT, Wendy has served on several strategic networks and tables. For one, she chaired Toronto's Accessibility Task Force on COVID-19 vaccines during the pandemic and was instrumental in actually prioritizing disabled people's access to vaccines, but also the city providing vaccines in a way that was inclusive of disabled people who, for much of the early days of the pandemic, were pretty much shut out of priority in our city. And that task force really worked to actually change that. So really important work. And Wendy also worked for several years on Toronto's Accessibility Advisory Committee, which is a committee of the City of Toronto City Council. She's strongly challenged government, health, and other sectors to advance progress on realizing the rights of disabled and deaf people to live independently in community with adequate social and economic equity as full societal citizens. And we're proud to have her at the helm of CILT. Wendy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CILT's 40th anniversary celebration. I want you to picture something. A young girl, maybe 10, sitting in a hospital room. It's not a hospital stay, it's her life. Her name is Sandra. And this institution is the only place anybody ever imagined her living. Today, that girl's dream of freedom, of community, of love is in this room. It's in CILT, and it's in all of us here. That deserves applause, for sure. I'm Wendy Porch, as you heard. I'm the Executive Director at the Centre for Independent Living in Toronto, also known as CILT. You all know that. Seeing you all here gathered today at the beautiful Hart House, our vibrant community members, our dedicated allies, our cherished friends, fills my heart with so much warmth and gratitude. 40 years is a milestone. You know, that's older than smartphones, it's older than Netflix, and it's actually much longer than any funding cycle we've ever had from any level of government. Today, I would like to start by remembering and thinking about some of our champions. I want to start by remembering Sandra Carpenter, our visionary founder. Sandra once said, "My first radical act was simply to have lived." So let that sink in for a minute. When Sandra and her sister Tracy were children, disabled people were expected to live hidden away, isolated at home or in institutions with no choices and no voice. The idea that they could wake up in a room of their own, eat their breakfast when they wanted, pick out the clothes that they wanted to be wearing that day, feel safe and known, and live with their families surrounded by love and be full participants in life was a kind of freedom that was unimaginable. Just down the street from here used to be the Home for Incurable Children, which is now actually Holland Bloorview. And that stood then as a symbol of that era. Sandra, Tracy, and many others were moved there permanently, year-round, because no supports existed in community. They were confined, wearing hospital bracelets 24 hours a day, in a place that was never meant to be a home. At 18, they were expected to move to long-term care and live lives again of institutionalization, not liberation. But they had a different vision. They cut off those hospital bracelets, literally and figuratively, and dreamed of apartments in the city in ordinary buildings and the freedom to come and go, support staff that responded to them, and in fact, eventually, 4 pilot projects were funded in Ontario, including the Clarendon Foundation project here in Toronto. Around the same time, another IL champion, Judith Snow, secured an order in council to receive individualized attendance services. She showed us what true independence could look like. And that vision became our foundation. Since 1985, CILT has made independent life not just possible, but beautiful. People who once were confined to sterile rooms now live in the homes of their choice, raise children, feel the sun on your face, laugh with their friends, and live life on their own terms. And this is our legacy. This is independent living. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about some of our milestones, but I want to acknowledge 2 remarkable individuals, one of whom I've seen here and one I don't know if she's here with us yet today. But I'd like to say thank you to MPP Kristen Wong-Tam, who's here. Thank you. I'd like to invite Kristen up for a moment, too, if you'd like to come up, Kristen. But I would like to thank you for your tireless advocacy for equity and inclusion at Queen's Park on behalf of our community.
It's an absolute honor to be here with everyone today to celebrate the 40th anniversary of CILT. What a remarkable organization, and just as Wendy has spoken about, this legacy that you embody. 40 years of promoting supports and adequate resources so people can live this authentic and independent life is truly thrilling for me to be here in celebration with all of you. Wendy and I had the honor of serving together at the City of Toronto's Disability Advisory Committee and the Toronto Accessibility Advisory Committee. The name of the committee changed several times, but the one thing that did not change was Wendy's steadfast advocacy and her persistence in championing the equality and the rights of people living in Ontario living with disabilities. And I want to say thank you to you for your incredible leadership in helming this organization. I certainly know that there is much more to do in Ontario. The Accessibilities for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, a deadline that has come and gone, January 1st, 2025, where the province had mandated that organizations, sports organizations, businesses was supposed to become accessible, fully accessible, 20 years after the act was first passed. I know that the government has more work to do. I recognize that the resources and supports for people living with disabilities in Ontario is inadequate, and that your work is made more difficult, unfortunately, because there isn't as much government funding as there should be. And so our commitment to you, and I would say this on behalf of everyone at the Ontario Legislative Assembly, is that we have to hold each other to account. We have to ensure that funding and supports are flowing to community organizations because you hold the relationships with people and the community. So every dime that we invest in services here, you stretch that into $1 and you reach community members that we cannot reach. I'd like to just very quickly present a scroll, a certificate, a gesture of my support and admiration for this remarkable organization, your 40 years of advocacy, your 40 years of community service that has transformed and radically improved lives. I'd say thank you, miigwech.
Thank you again, MPP Wong Tam, for being here and for those kind words. I also wanted to thank Dr. Nakoshi Lamte. Is Dr. Lamte in the room? No. Okay, but I would like to mention Dr. Lamte because Dr. Lamte is the Deputy Medical Officer of Health at Toronto Public Health, and she showed incredible leadership during COVID-19, working with us in her commitment to inclusive healthcare and public health. So thank you to Dr. Lamte, wherever she is today. She was maybe going to join us, but thank you. Okay, so let's reflect on a few defining moments for CILT. 1985, CILT is incorporated, establishing a foundation for independent living in Toronto. And just briefly, if you think back to 1985, we still had limited curb cuts, we still had very limited services in community, we still didn't have much in the way of inclusion. 1990, CILT collaborates with the CBC on the Disability Network, bringing our voices, disabled voices, into the mainstream. 93 to 95, consumers help launch direct funding. I just got goosebumps. It's huge. Direct funding, which gave disabled people the right to hire and manage their own attendance for the first time. 1999, we publish, maybe controversially at the time, the parenting book for persons with a disability, affirming our right to be parents. Yeah, that deserves snaps or a clap, 100%. In 2000, we created PIC, the Project Information Center, which was a centralized waitlist for supportive housing and outreach attendance service. 2015, we had a huge federal election forum on accessibility, encouraging civic mindedness amongst consumers. 2018, we formalized the Attendance Service Application Center. 2019, we helped launch a Toronto for All campaign that says, as a city built on diversity, we have to do better to include disabled people. And that was an award-winning campaign. It was very cool if you haven't seen it. Oh, yeah, thank you. We have people in the room that actually worked on that. I see you, Taryn. You were working on that, I think. In 2020, we pivoted just like the rest of the world very quickly during the COVID-19 pandemic to support community and advocate for our community at a time when there were triage protocols that said that our disabled lives were worth less than other people's lives. That was not an easy task, but we worked together as a community to raise our visibility in very difficult times. In 2021, I chaired the Toronto Accessibility Task Force on COVID-19 vaccines, and our staff lead the Accessibility Cluster for Vaccine Outreach. 2023, we expand the GTA Disability Coalition, and we start our IDE+A project. It's an amazing project where disabled people developed a curriculum to teach other people about disability inclusion. So it's our voices. 2024, we gained anchor agency status with the United Way. Julie Kalendorfer from United Way is here too. Hi, Julie. Thank you very much. It opened many opportunities for us in terms of community connections. So I just want to say these are not just organizational milestones. These are moments in CILT's history that changed and touched lives. One consumer told us about direct funding, for example, the freedom and flexibility that I am experiencing now just wasn't possible in other settings. Another consumer told us direct funding has allowed me to be active in community organizations where my experience is valuable in making change. These are everyday joys, right? Belonging, safety, love. This is what independent living is all about. And none of that happens without people. So to our CILT Board of Directors, many of whom are in the room today, thank you for your leadership and vision. You guide everything that we do. To our extraordinary CILT staff team, thank you. Whether you've been with us for 6 months or 30 years, your commitment to our work, to our community, and to one another is what sustains us. Every project, every victory, every life changed, it all begins with you. Amongst this incredible staff team, I want to highlight 3 folks who have very long-standing service awards. Andrea Ray, where's Andrea? Thank you, Andrea. Andrea has had 20 years at CILT of helping consumers navigate complex systems. Thank you. John Massa. Is John still in the room? John Massa is at the back. This year, just about a month ago, maybe, John celebrated 25 years incredible. 25 years. You don't look any older than 25, John. You haven't aged since I met you. That beautiful mustache. John has spent 25 years teaching, mentoring, and advocating through his role as our IL Skills facilitator. And Lisa DeBono. Where's Lisa? Lisa. Lisa has celebrated 30 years. 30 years of championing, yeah. Incredible. 30 years of championing direct funding with passion and precision. And let me tell you, I'm in the room with Lisa in many, many difficult meetings, and Lisa is a bulldog. Lisa does not give up. She believes so passionately in the program. So, just to say, you are the heartbeat of this movement. Thank you. And yet, our work continues. Our work really continues. Disabled people still face immense barriers. We know this because we're in the room here. A housing crisis, inaccessible housing, is rampant. It's very hard to find somewhere to live in community. Systemic poverty, inaccessible transit systems, and an equity movement that sometimes forgets about us. But we are not giving up. We are organizing, advocating, building coalitions, and creating change. And as we celebrate, I'd like to also just say a quick thanks to many of the advocates that came before us. You've already heard their names, but I just want to say quickly, Ian Parker, Steve Esty, Audrey King, Wanda Whitebird, Neil Mercer, John Ray, Don Paramaki, Mary Louise Dixon, Ing Wong Ward. Your legacies live on in us. So, here we stand, 40 years strong. Our roots are deep and our hearts are full. Let's imagine a future together where access is a given, where disability is embraced and expected. We are not a surprise. Where our stories lead policy, not follow it. We stand on the shoulders of Ed Roberts, Judy Heumann, Sandra Carpenter, Vic Willi, and so many of you who are actually in the room here today. I see you, I honor you, and we will carry the torch forward. Because remember, we say nothing about us without us. Well, everything is about us. It is us, disabled people and our allies, who will build the future. One where we live in community, we take risks, we fall in love, we raise families, we grow old with dignity, and we thrive. So thank you for being part of this journey. Let's celebrate, and let's keep going together. And let me just say, as a disabled woman myself, and as a leader in the community, I am so proud of this movement and of what we've been able to accomplish together so far. I can't wait to see what the next 40 years holds for us. So thank you.
I would call to action for everybody in the room to carry the torch forward on advancing disability inclusion and independent living. To advance the torch that says nothing about disabled people without us. And for a country that includes disabled people, our voices, our rights, and yeah. So let's do it, eh? That's a challenge for today, especially where we see so much of our progress being pushed back and shut down. You know, things are not getting any better, so we actually have a torch to carry to actually push back against and dismantle what's actually in the way of disability inclusion in our community. On that note, next up, I will introduce our board chair, Darren Cooper, who will come up and say a few words on behalf of the board. Darren's a longtime accessibility expert and advocate. He's worked in the City of Toronto's accessibility office for some time, and now serves as manager, accessibility for the Toronto Public Library. Darren's in the 6th year on the CILT board. Give a round for Darren.
Thank you, David, and good afternoon, everyone. As David mentioned, my name is Darren Cooper, and I am the chair of the board of directors. On behalf of the board, I am pleased to welcome you to CILT's 40th anniversary celebration. As the chair and as a member of CILT and as a person with a disability, it fills me with immense pride to be here today to recognize this important milestone and the significant impact that CILT has had on the lives of people with disabilities in Toronto and throughout Ontario. As Wendy mentioned, 40 years ago, CILT was founded on a vision, one that embraced independence and inclusion for people with disabilities in their community. At the time, it was a bold and transformational idea that was led by individuals like Sandra Carpenter and Judith Snow, who dared to challenge societal barriers and dream of equity and accessibility for all. Today, through our programs and services, CILT continues to uphold that vision by supporting countless individuals with disabilities in achieving greater independence and inclusion. Now, of course, that work would not be possible without the unwavering dedication of our board of directors. As Wendy mentioned, there's many of us here today. Our knowledgeable, skilled, and experienced staff, led by Wendy, and for the generous support of our funders, the Ministry of Health, Independent Living Canada, the City of Toronto, and the United Way of Greater Toronto. Without their generous financial support, definitely contributes to the work that we're doing. Looking forward, I'm pleased to share that CILT is in the process of developing a new strategic plan that will guide the organization over the next 5 years. And it will help to serve as our commitment to ongoing growth, innovation, community-centered, and consumer-driven progress. It will also help to ensure that we continue to uphold the principles of the independent living movement and offer the programs and services that you've come to expect from CILT. As we celebrate today, I would encourage all of you to take a moment to reflect on everything that CILT has accomplished over the past 40 years and all the possibilities for the future. With that being said, again, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank all of you for being with us today to celebrate this milestone and for your ongoing support on our journey to greater independence and inclusion for all. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the day.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate all you and the board has done in the past year, and particularly with our strategic plan leading us through that. By the way, thanks to many of you who contributed to our strategic plan. It wasn't just CILT. We have a lot of folks in the room, community members, partners, even funders who actually provided input around what the next 5 years should look like. And we heard a lot of really important stuff, including we need to do more advocacy on disability issues. So I was glad to hear that, actually. Okay, moving right along. Next person to speak will be, you just heard about her a bit, Lisa DeBono, who is going to tell the direct funding story. Before Lisa comes up, she has a powerful story to tell, so I can't trump that. But I want to say a little bit about Lisa first. So, as you heard, 30 years at the helm, 30 years of direct funding. She started when she was 14 or 15, I think. You can tell. You know, I won't say a lot about Lisa other than she's been a brilliant and tenacious fighter for DF, as Wendy said, for all that time. And, you know, I've seen few things make Lisa more choked up or more thrilled than when she talks about the impact of DF on self-managers, people who receive services, through directing and managing their own attendance services, which was a radical model 30 years ago. It's still radical today, really. There's nothing like being able to direct your own care because you are the expert in what your own personal care needs are, not somebody else. One thing I want to say, though, is that I want to speak to the self-managers in the room. Many of you in the room are self-managers on DF, started 15, 20, some of you even longer, as self-managers on the program, and you are the experts in how that program works. And I'm sure you all have stories about life before DF and life after DF, and just the freedom and choice your lives had after you became a self-manager. That's the impact of the program, really, on disabled folks who are on it. It's just the freedom to choose how you want to have your services met. And Lisa is going to tell you that story now better than I ever could. So come on up, Lisa.
Thank you, David. I think the most important thing you need to know about me today is I'm actually wearing a dress. This is very unusual for me. So maybe when we hit 50, maybe we'll get out another dress. And heels. So big deal for me. Big deal. Hello, honored guests. Wendy has already welcomed you all, but I would also like to thank you all for coming out to celebrate with us. I am thrilled to see so many familiar faces, and it is an honor to be here today as one of the older staff at CILT. And by older, I mean years served, just to be clear. 10 years after CILT got started, the direct funding program came along, and that's when I got started. So we are celebrating both a 40th anniversary and a 30th anniversary this year. The direct funding program was born out of a vision to empower adults with physical disabilities to take control of their own lives. It all started with the recognition that individuals with disabilities should have the autonomy to manage their own attendance services, making choices that best suit their needs and lifestyles. The whole idea was groundbreaking in 1994, but the desire for this consumer-controlled model got started in the early 90s. This program did not just happen. It took years of advocating, changes to legislation, and a solid working relationship with our ministry partners to launch this new initiative. So many people were instrumental in getting direct funding off the ground, and some of them are here today. You've already heard Hazel Self's name mentioned. I didn't see him, but I think Warner Clark is here. If you are, hello, Warner. They were both part of the original steering committee for direct funding, and they are both here today. Vic Willi was the executive director of CILT at the time the program was launched, and he was also instrumental in getting direct funding off the ground. And for me, no discussion of direct funding could be complete without mentioning Ian Parker. He was the first program manager and one of the first self-managers on the program. Ian had a vision of what independent living would look like. Choice, flexibility, and control have always been key elements to independent living and direct funding, but also important is the right to take risks. And direct funding was a big risk. We had 102 pilot project participants who relinquished their rights to use the publicly funded services in favor of participating in this pilot. Considering this was a brand new model, and considering participants were expected to recruit, hire, train, and pay their own staff, this was a huge step for everyone. Their commitment to the cause and relentless efforts laid the foundation for what would become a transformative initiative. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude for their foresight and perseverance. I just want to say to the pilot project people, thank you. I still recall that $11 an hour was amongst the first wages that we negotiated. That's when we negotiated wages. And I remember roaming around Toronto to help various self-managers figure out how to set up payroll, remit their source deductions, or prepare their first quarterly reports. It was about 3 years in before we started adding money for a bookkeeper to all the budgets. Now that was a very good idea. And it was one that was endorsed by Sylvia Draper Fernandez, who was CILT's bookkeeper during the early years of direct funding and who helped write the original financial handbook for participants. Direct funding as a program remains unique. There are certainly more choices to receive funding now than there were in the past, and some programs allow individuals to hire agency services with the funds they receive. But the requirement to be an employer is a key element to direct funding and ensures always that the consumer maintains autonomy in this essential part of their lives. As we celebrate this milestone, it is important to acknowledge the invaluable support of our partner independent living centers across Ontario. These centers have been instrumental in providing resources, guidance, and support to program participants, ensuring that they have the tools they need to succeed. We extend our heartfelt thanks to each and every one of these centers for their unwavering commitment to the direct funding program. Equally important to acknowledge is the support and dedication of the staff at CILT who help keep this very large program up and running. From the direct funding managers who shoulder a lot of tough questions to the staff in all the departments, it is because of your tireless efforts that we continue to be a very successful program that we are. The impact of this program has been profound. Since its inception in the mid-90s, more than 1,900 individuals have benefited from the choice, flexibility, and control offered by direct funding, and more than 900 people are currently benefiting. These participants, known as self-managers, have been able to recruit, hire, and employ their own attendants to assist with all activities of daily living. This empowerment has allowed them to live more independently and with greater dignity. Furthermore, more than 25% of participants have been on the program over 20 years. This longevity speaks to the program's success in meeting the needs of its participants and providing them with the stability and support they require. In closing, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to everyone involved in the direct funding program, from the self-managers to the ILRCs to the CILT staff. Your dedication, hard work, and passion have made this program what it is today. As we celebrate this anniversary, let us affirm our commitment to independent living and continue to work together to shape a future where everyone has the opportunities to live independently and with dignity. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the celebration.
We have 2 awards to give out before we get some comedy entertainment from the great Courtney Gilmore. So first up, we will be presenting the Vic Willi Award for Youth. The Vic Willi Award for Youth honors Vic Willi is one of our executive directors at CILT, you heard before. His leadership and commitment to equity, diversity, and social justice for disabled people. This award emphasizes these qualities of Vic and supports developing young disabled leaders in Canada. Disabled people and their allies have developed this award for the next generation of disabled leaders. It's my pleasure to introduce Hazel Self to the stage to announce this year's winner. Hazel is a longtime supporter and partner of CILT and one of Toronto's true pioneers of independent living. For decades, Hazel's work at the Gage Transition for Independent Living was instrumental in supporting literally hundreds of disabled youth and some adults to transition to living independently in community with the aid of adequate PSW and other community supports. So Hazel is a fitting presenter for the Vic Willi Award. Give it up for Hazel.
Well, this is an amazing occasion, and I do feel like the grand old dame here. Gosh, it's going back in so much history. Anyway, as you heard, my name is Hazel Self. I'm honored to have been asked to present this very important award called the Vic Willi Award for Youth. It was established in 2022, and as you've heard, it's granted to a young disabled person showing leadership in activism. Vic was a former ED of the Centre for Independent Living from '89 to 2006. I personally became involved with CILT in the 1980s, so it was really at the beginning of all the action. I had recently become quadriplegic from a diving accident, and it was then that I met Vic and other stalwarts of the independent living movement, and I slowly began to realize that by default, I'd unwittingly joined a militant and relentless force for change. I had no clue what I was getting involved in. I remember asking Ian Parker once, what are minutes? I didn't even know what minutes were. It was an era of great activity during the 1980s in the disability world, from getting inclusion of accessibility features in things like the building codes, protection of disability, in the Charter of Human Rights. Even then, it was development of Wheel-Trans, which started out as the van. Establishment of attendant services, that was a novel idea that We actually didn't need nurses, but attendants could do the job. And things like, obviously, direct funding, that was a coup d'etat, and the assistive devices program, to mention only a few. It was a massive time of developing service, enabling us to, I like this quote, get on with life. Victories were won after much strategic planning and endless meetings with bureaucrats and politicians, and our dear friend is here, one of them. It's so important to have allies in all directions. But Vic Willi was unrelenting in his persistence for change and his commitment to the cause, making independent living possible, and a human right in its own right. But as the years rolled by and great achievements were made, Vic often said, who's going to keep all this going? And who will continue to fight the battles? It's imperative that we involve the next generation. We kind of got used to kind of doing everything ourselves. But he had the foresight to see we got a hand off. And so, in keeping with Vic's vision and of encouraging the younger generation to take up leadership roles, on behalf of the Centre for Independent Living Board of Directors, it is my absolute pleasure to honour young individuals whose achievements exemplify the character of a change maker. Today, the award for youth goes to Jessica Gill. This is my first time to meet you, Jessica, and I wish I'd known you before. You're an individual who understands that there's nothing more powerful when challenging healthcare professionals or educators to think differently than by sharing your own lived experience of disability and, in your case, of chronic pain. It opens their eyes and their hearts to want to partner with you, with us, to diminish barriers, to welcome and improve patient engagement, and to deliver a holistic model of care. You are an advisor and member of the Sick Kids Children's Council and Rheumatology Family Advisory Team. You'd just be amazed at what this young lady has been doing. You advocate for reframing how people with disabilities are perceived in a healthcare setting. How important is that? You also challenge the perceived invisibility of youth with disabilities, and you help create meaningful pathways for their stories, strengths, and need to shape the systems they depend on. At Sick Kids, your manager highlighted how you foster inclusion through active listening, critical thinking, and expressing your own views with clarity and consideration. To me, that last one's very important, consideration. You actively contribute to discussions on council membership and operations. You share insights gained from your broader volunteer involvements to drive meaningful change, to generate new ideas. This isn't all, it keeps going. Outside the healthcare setting, you co-founded a secondary school chapter of Big Spoon, Little Spoon. I'm intrigued, I haven't Googled that yet, but does anybody here know Big Spoon, Little Spoon? It's obviously something you need to share. It's an initiative that fosters inclusive school communities by pairing student volunteers with peers living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they also fundraised recently, I believe, over $500 for Autism Ontario, and a toy drive that donated about 100 toys to sick kids. I think that deserves a flag. You have a number of other leadership roles with different charities and youth initiatives where your activism brings change and strengthens and uplifts those around you. So we are so grateful for your contributions to the disability community, your commitment to the IL principles, your inspiration towards a positive future. I just want to say Vic Willi would have been so proud of this young lady. And again, we just congratulate you and invite you to share some words yourself. Thank you so much.
First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the community of independent living Toronto. As we live in an increasingly globalized society, I believe that it is now more important than ever for aspiring young agents of change, such as myself and many others, to really connect to the causes that are closest to our hearts and enable and use such opportunities to bring change forth. I truly hope that I can use this opportunity to not only raise awareness about the needs and rights of people with all sorts of exceptionalities and raise awareness about their needs and rights, but I hope that I can also use this opportunity to help more people realize that a disability should not define a person, but ultimately motivate them to pursue their goals in life even further. Once again, it has been such an honor to accept the Vic Willi Award for Youth, and I'd like to extend my gratitude once again. Thank you so much.
First time award, huge award. And I will not be reading Kathleen's wonderful bio I was going to read.
That's fine.
I don't to say Kathleen was the niece, beloved niece of Sandra, loved the arts like her aunt, and we'll talk about the award.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Kathleen O'Dell. I am deeply proud to be Sandra's niece. Thank you. Her fight for autonomy, self-determination, and dignity for peoples with disability is something I am honored to carry forward. Sandra's spirit and vision remain deeply present in the work we do and the lives she's touched. It's an honor to be here today in her memory to present the first inaugural Sandra Carpenter Award for Artists. We've heard a lot about Sandra today and her legacy as a formidable disability rights activist and visionary, but she was also a dedicated patron of the arts. She went to great lengths to uplift and celebrate artists across various mediums, be it paintings, collages, photography, anything, recognizing in their work a reflection of the world as it is, but also as it could be. One of the things Sandra always told me was that as soon as she moved out of Bloorview into her first apartment, she made a rule for herself. She would only own original artwork. It was one of the many ways she honored creative expression and the voices behind the work. Sandra herself drew, painted, sang, and embroidered denim patches throughout her teens and into her 20s. She understood art as a powerful tool for individuation. Self-expression not only is something visually appealing or striking, but also is an important political tool that could be used to speak truth to power and reject cultural paradigms while asserting personhood in a society that was often eager to erase the experiences of people with disabilities. She believed art is a pathway for challenging stereotypes and stigma about disability while celebrating the diversity, beauty, complexity, and richness of human experience. This is why, through the support of CILT, we are so proud to have been able to create this award to recognize the works of disabled artists who use their medium to demonstrate their creativity, originality, and commitment to the values of independent living. Today, on behalf of the CILT Board of Directors, it is my distinct pleasure to recognize the recipient of the inaugural Sandra Carpenter Award for Artists, Robaba Mohammadi. Robaba is an artist whose extraordinary talent and unwavering determination embody the spirit of this award. Her story begins in Afghanistan, where she was born with a congenital disability that left her unable to use her hands and feet traditionally. Robaba was thrust into an environment highly influenced by traditional and often stigmatizing cultural beliefs around disability and a society that was largely inaccessible for someone like her. With time and hope for a brighter future, her parents embraced her fully and were determined to give her the best life possible. After moving from place to place in a period where she was homebound and unable to attend school, explore the world outside, or afford her a wheelchair, Robaba's curiosity was sparked by her sister's school books and art supplies while they were away attending to their studies. One day, filled with curiosity and determination, she decided to try drawing herself. After failing to use her toes, she held a pencil between her teeth and drew her very first straight line. That moment marked the beginning of an extraordinary journey. With the help of her sisters, Robaba taught herself to read and to write and helped them with their schoolwork. But her passion extended beyond literacy. She began teaching herself how to draw, discovering a powerful voice through her artwork. Robaba's life took a transformative turn in 2014 when a television network featured her story after discovering her artwork on Facebook. The segment brought national attention to her talent, opening doors to a professional career as a painter. She stepped into the public eye and was soon recognized for her incredible artistic ability, developed entirely without the use of her hands. From 2014 to 2024, Robaba created hundreds of paintings and held numerous exhibitions nationally and internationally. Her work has been showcased at embassies in Kabul, Kabul University, the Presidential Palace, and many cities throughout the Middle East. In 2019, Robaba established the Robaba Art and Cultural Center, a space dedicated to teaching art to others, particularly those with disabilities. She has come to be known as the mother of painting in Afghanistan. In early 2024, Robaba immigrated to Canada, where she once again picked up her brushes and began creating art. Today, she continues her mission not only as a painter, but as a symbol of courage, perseverance, and the spirit of independence and creativity. Robaba, thank you for sharing your story with us and your paintings. Congratulations once again on being the recipient of the Sandra Carpenter Award for Artists. I would love to invite you to share a few words.
Hello and good day to everyone. I think she said about me everything, and I painted without teacher. I started painting without teacher. It's 10 years that I painting, but I think it's not enough. I need a teacher. I have to learn more about art, but I think artists are very sensitive. They live every day, living not only breathe. Life is so beautiful. I thanks from CILT that choose me, and I think actually I don't have information about this foundation because it's the first time I'm here. It's 1 year I'm in Canada, and today I'm so happy that I'm here, and I'm so happy that they choose me. Actually, I had a lot of art exhibition before, but in Canada, I didn't. I'm just trying to search a community to support me. I need a support to make an exhibition, because artists need exhibition every 6 months or every 1 year, because we need to actually, my language not good. I'm just trying. If I can't say faster, I'm so sorry. And I think today, actually, I'm so happy. I don't have afraid that I'm not worried that my language is not good. Every day I'm practice. I better than yesterday. Yes, and don't forgive. Disabled people are so powerful, really. We are living every day, not only breathe. Life is so beautiful. We proud of us. Thank you.
One more thing to do, and that is to put us on a path to have some cheer, some laughter, some comedy, and it means introducing our entertainer and comedian, Courtney Gilmore, to let that happen for us.
A little technical, yes, adjustments. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, I love making men do things for me. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here. if I could even get like a chair just beside me. We're doing, this is accessibility in real time. We're just making it work on the fly. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations on 40 years. That's incredible. One more time for all the organizers, the team, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Courtney, and just to give you a little visual description off the top, I love performing for an accessible crowd and for a disabled crowd because it allows everyone to enjoy the performances. So I'll just let you, engage the way you need to engage. I am 5'2", long, dark, flowing black hair, piercing green eyes, juicy ass. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here. And also, if we could just give a shout out and a round of applause to the amazing working team of both the ASL team, Gateway here, who I've worked with extensively, and the live caption services. Incredible. I love this. I love, everyone in this room is either disabled or loves someone who is. And that means that everyone here is exhausted in a very specific way. And I think that's great. Isn't it nice though? It's so nice to be in like a huge room just full of disabled people. Like it looks like we're about to perform a very progressive flash mob, and I think that's wonderful. I'll tell you this, I'm actually celebrating something myself recently, and I've been doing comedy for a while, and I'm recently celebrating 13 years of stand-up comedy. Thank you, thanks. Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of touring, and this past year, I've been doing a lot of touring of small town Canada. I'm really getting an up close and personal glimpse of small town Canada, okay? As a person from a bigger city, eye-opening, very eye-opening. I don't know if is anyone here from a super small town? Yes, okay. We got a lot of white people whose favorite sushi comes from a diner. We love it. We love to see it. It's my favorite thing because I'm learning a lot. Here's my key takeaway. You know that you're in a small town when you take an Uber back to your hotel after the bar, and your Uber driver is a guy from the bar. And the mayor, it's the same guy. You're like, didn't we also match on Hinge? This is crazy. I love it. I love that though. One of my favorite things about small town folk, they're unfiltered, very unfiltered people. If they have an opinion, if that opinion's gonna hurt your feelings, they will say it. They will say it to your face. They don't care. I think that's an amazing quality. They're very brutally honest. I learned this the hard way though. I was doing a show recently, and a man came up to me after my set, and he was telling me about this cruise that he had just gone on. He was like, yeah, I was just on an Alaskan cruise, and there was a stand-up comedian on the cruise. He goes, the comedian performed every single night, and he says, wasn't very funny though, but seemed like a steady gig. And then he looked me dead in the eyes and goes, anyway, something to think about. Uh-oh. Time to get back to the joke book, I guess. But no, it's so lovely to be here. And I will tell you this up front. I'm missing hands. I'm missing both hands. I'm very upfront and honest and open about that. Mostly just because I think that women should be honest when they've had work done. Transparency is key. No, I was born missing hands. I'm what they call a congenital amputee. Okay, congenital means since birth, OG, gold star, okay, from the beginning. And I I'm a very confident person. That's something that I've learned over time. I wasn't always so confident, but for like now, sometimes people in the audience are a little bit hesitant to laugh at disability jokes, but I just tell them, like, I'm so confident. Here's a frame of reference of how confident I am. My New Year's resolution this year, fewer limbs. Who gives a shit, okay? Take my head, I'll make it work. New year, no me, I don't care. I love it. I found out something very interesting about when my mom was pregnant with me before I was born. I did not know this until recently, but my mom told me that when she was pregnant with me, during the whole 9 months, no one on any of the ultrasound pictures, no one knew that I was missing limbs. Isn't that wild? Isn't that so crazy that at such a young age I already knew my angles? That's so insane, right? I was like, you'll see. I don't know. I love that, but now I live by myself. A lot of people, when they meet me for the first time, they don't know what to make of me. I'm sure a lot of people in this room can relate when people are just mystified by your very existence, I deal with that a lot. And I always tell people, I'm just like you, I have my own apartment, I have a cat, I have 47 bananas in my freezer right now that I'm never gonna make banana bread with. Can we all stop lying to ourselves about the banana bread? It's not gonna happen, okay? If we didn't make the banana bread during COVID, you're never gonna make them, okay? It's time to face the music. I think we should all collectively make a pact, okay? Tonight, after the event, we all go home, we all toss the bananas from the freezer as an act of solidarity. Are you with me? Yes, I see you, okay. It's most of the room. Most of the room, some of you are still hanging on. You're like, no, I swear to God, I'm going to make the banana bread. No, you're not. You're not going to do it. You're going to tell your friends you're vegan and then order a Domino's pizza like the rest of us, and it's time to unite. Oh, and you know what I love so much, and I'm going to do my best to keep pace with the captions. I love being able to, in real time, see my own unhinged mind unravel in front of me. It's a reminder of accessibility and also that I need to stay in therapy. I have a very good support system at home, a very good support system. Well, here's the thing. I do live by myself, but I've had to deal with, I think a lot of us can relate to the feeling of you want to be independent, but it's led to being stubborn about asking for help when you do need it, and that's something that I've struggled with. So I'm trying to reach out more, ask for help, when I need it. And so, but whenever people help me, for some reason, I have this weird guilt complex where I feel like I need to give back to society, like do a random act of kindness. So recently, I've been thinking, what can I do as like an act of charity for society, for helping me? And this is what I'm doing. I've started to let short men reach things for me. I'm an ally, okay? If they're under 5'6", it's a tax deduction. It's great, it works for everyone. I'm doing it, I'm letting short men reach things for me because you know why? I don't know if you guys know, like, if you're at the grocery store and you tell a short man that you need his help to reach a can of soup, just the sheer joy and bliss on their faces is so adorable and fulfilling for both of us. It's so nice. They're like, oh my God, you need me? And I'm like, yeah, you and a step stool are about neck and neck right now. So it's great. I love that. That's what I'm doing. But yes, I do have a good support system, a good family, My dad is a good guy, and my parents have always been supportive. But my dad and I have an interesting relationship. He's a very funny man, and when we communicate, he lives in a different city, so lots of texting, emailing. And we like to make fun of each other a lot, okay? So this is the sense of humor I grew up with. My dad, we have this fun little tradition where I will send him cute cat videos on TikTok, and he'll send me videos of other amputees doing cooler shit than me, okay? Just to keep me humble, right? To keep me humble. He sent me a video once of a girl with no arms, and she flies an airplane with her feet, which is amazing, right? Very impressive. She's a pilot. She flies a whole airplane with her feet. That's her job. Incredible. But then, underneath his email, my dad was just like, so, what have you done lately? Isn't that so rude? I was like, I don't know, Dad. I'm out here opening a can of soup like it's a bank vault, okay? I don't know what you want from me. But that's not happening. There's no airplanes in my future. Those are not even my aspirations, you know? That's what I'm telling myself. I'm able, I'm just not willing, you know? It's beneath me. I could never. I'm a very lazy girl, you know? I don't have those types of, I'm not a very inspirational disabled person, you know? Some people feel me, and I love that. I'm lazy, I'm clumsy, I'm not flying planes, I'm getting drunk on planes. That's my calling in life. That's what I do, okay? Call me when you need the girl who's late to the party because she put moisturizer on her arms and then spent the next 25 minutes trying to open the front door, okay? That's me. That's your girl. Thank you. Oh. But no, and for any of you who thought my dad was very rude for that, first of all, yes, I agree. But don't worry, because I get my revenge, okay? Now I send him videos of other dads doing cooler shit than him, okay? Just like cleaning the pool with their clothes on, just dad stuff. My dad is getting up there in age, though, and listen, I'm not ageist at all, but like when you have parents, you gotta like look out for some signs, because the parents that you grew up with are not the same parents who are aging. Your personality and everything, and I find that with I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but like the number one sign of aging parents is absolutely batshit Facebook posts, just going nuts on Facebook. That's the thing. That's the telltale sign. My dad never learned how to use technology properly. I logged into Facebook recently. At the top of my news feed, it just said a notification about my dad. It just said at the top of Facebook, Larry Gilmore has just posted on Tyler Perry's fan page. Uh-oh. What's that about? I frantically click it. I'm like, oh God, what is he doing? What is he doing over on Tyler Perry's fan page? And so I click on the fan page, and just at the top of the fan page, one comment from my dad, all it says is this, verbatim. How does one contact you directly? What? That's my dad trying to hang with Tyler Perry. He's unhinged. I love it. But he has a hard time admitting when he's wrong, and that's kind of a bad combination when it comes to not being very tech savvy. He was in Mexico recently with my mom, and I hadn't heard from him in a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden, one day, I receive a text from my father. No caption, no words, just a picture of sourdough bread on a plate. Okay? That's it. Just a picture of sourdough bread on a plate. I cut out the middleman. I go to my mom. I go, Mom, why did Dad just send me a picture of sourdough bread on a plate? She goes, I don't know, but he just accidentally sent it to every single contact in his list. Everybody, people he hasn't spoken to in 40 years, as long as this organization has been around, have just received a photo of bread from my father. Okay? Insane. Absolutely crazy. My mom goes, he doesn't think he did it. He thinks he was hacked. Hacked? I was like, what's the MO here? Okay, they bypassed the credit card information. They're like, no, we gotta change the plan. We gotta make this man look like an idiot, okay? Send the bread. Absolutely wild. You know my favorite part about that story too it wasn't even his sourdough bread. He was just Googling bread and just accidentally forwarded it to everyone he knows. So wild. But I keep trying to have gotcha moments with my dad because I think like, oh, one of these days I'm going to get him to admit that he's wrong. I'm going to get him to admit something. So I keep trying to make it fun. I keep trying to catch him in moments. So recently, I sent him this meme. Now, I'm going to describe the meme to you, and you all seem like a very intelligent crowd, so I feel like you're going to get it on the first go, okay? This is what it was. It was a picture of a cartoon clown. And at the top of the picture of the cartoon clown, there was just a caption that says, "This is a clever optical illusion. If you stare at the clown long enough, there will be two clowns staring at each other." Okay? Are we getting it? Are we understanding? For those of you, it's no judgment, but for those of you who still don't get it, the joke is, you're the second fucking clown, okay? You're the second clown, all right? You stare at this picture for 5 minutes, you feel like a moron, that's the joke. You're the second clown, okay? I sent this to my dad. 4 hours pass. Nothing. I'm hearing nothing, okay? So I put out some feelers. I check in a bit. I text my dad, I go, "Hey, did you get it?" My dad, within 30 seconds, texts back, he goes, "I see them." Oh, you do? You see them? He goes, "Yeah, they're looking to the left." Huh? Looking to the left? Now we're getting so specific. And that's when I knew it was my moment to pounce. I pounced. I was like, "No, it's a joke. You didn't get it. You're the second clown. It's a joke. You're the second clown." Without missing a beat, this man texts me right back and goes, "Then there are 3 clowns." That's my dad. That's my dad. I I think I go to therapy. Anyone else go to therapy? Yes, taking care of your mental health is very important. Okay. I had an interesting conversation with my therapist recently. My therapist told me that I need to stop referring to my hot friends as my hot friends. And he goes, "Because it sounds like you don't think you're hot." And I was like, "No, it sounds like you don't think I'm hot. I never said that. You're telling me a lot here." But I am starting this new trauma-based therapy. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's called EMDR therapy. Is anyone familiar with EMDR therapy? Okay, so I'm at the very beginning, but so far my understanding is this. You go to this trauma-oriented therapy. You out loud, you relive a very specific trauma that you went through as a child or whatever, and you process it in real time while doing physical sensations like moving your eyes a lot, sometimes tapping, a lot of like very rigorous, redundant physical things that you're doing, and the whole time you're talking about the trauma, you're reliving the trauma, and you do this for hours until your eyes feel so painful and so insane, and you're tapping so much that you feel kind of dissociative, and then at the end the therapist is like, "See, isn't that kind of worse than the thing?" You know, that's that's my takeaway so far. It's my takeaway. I mentioned earlier that I'm a very lazy girl. That's true. That's very true. I embrace it. Why not just embrace it, you know? But I feel like I'm at a point in time where it's reached a peak, where it's a problem. Here's how I know I've reached peak laziness. Do you guys ever add an extra 10 seconds to the microwave just so that you can get the bowl to rotate closer to you? That's a problem, right? That's intervention time, you know, I think. If the mac and cheese ends up on the other side of the microwave, oh hell no, we're giving her another walk around the block, okay? If it ends up on the other side twice, DoorDash. We're dealing with that tomorrow. We're not dealing with that now. I do love I like the uniqueness of having a disability living in a big city, you know? I love it, you know. I'm missing limbs and who cares? Whatever. I love living in Toronto. It's a bright, vibrant, diverse, unique city. And I know that at any given time of the day, I'm never the weirdest thing people are going to see, you know? We have so much to choose from, and I think that's a beautiful thing, you know? But I will say this, I sometimes forget what I look like to the average able-bodied person. I forget what I look like to them, sometimes they see me, it's very jarring, you know. And as an example, I was taking an Uber recently, and as soon as I got into the Uber, the driver looked a bit spooked. He looked a bit spooked, and he tells me, oh, he's had quite a day today. He's like, oh, I've had quite a day. He's like, in the span of 3 hours, he picked up a runaway bride, a clown, and a guy who tried to get into the Uber with a parrot on his shoulder, okay? In the span of 3 hours, okay? And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. And me being me, just living my normal life, thinking I'm normal, I'm in the backseat and I say this, I go, oh, wow, that's wild. You must be so relieved having someone normal like me in your backseat. And just silence, absolute radio silence. Like, yeah, of course. Just gonna keep time here. Okay. I'm not, you know what? I'm really happy to, sometimes people think, oh, you're doing a daytime gig, isn't that much harder, to make people laugh or to have a good time for a daytime comedy show? No, I like that it's brightly lit. I like that you guys are well caffeinated. Some of you just had your daily supplement a few hours ago. You're ready to go. Drunk people have no discernment with what's funny. People who are well caffeinated and wide awake, you have errands to run after this, you know what's funny. So if I hear a pin drop, I'm like, okay, this is bad news. So I think it's a great thing. It isn't also, it's not even the most unique type of gig I've done before. I do all kinds of weird ones. I did a really strange gig a few years ago. I was offered to perform comedy at a nude beach. Okay, how do we feel about nude beaches? Are we friendly to them? Clothing optional? We don't want to admit in front of our peers, or what's the vibe? Woo, woohoo! A few quiet woos, good. One time I asked a crowd who here has been to a nude beach, and just one guy at the very back raised his hand, and he goes, "Yeah, but I was just in the area." Huh? Is a nude beach the kind of place you're just breezing through? Oh, you guys have your dicks out too? Cool, I'll stay for lunch. That's weird. But here's the thing. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but in addition to not having hands, I'm also missing my right leg, okay? I'm missing my right leg too, because I'm an attention whore. And I have a prosthetic. I have a prosthetic leg, or as I like to call it, Beyond Meat. And... And so I was doing this, I was offered this gig. Oh, do we have something we need to attend to? Okay. You guys all hear that though, right? Like I don't just have an onset of tinnitus? Okay. All right, good. So here was the gig though. Here was the offer. I had to be naked telling jokes to other naked people, okay? Which is like most people's actual nightmare, right? But they're like, we'll pay you $20. And I was like, okay, sign me up. Let's do this. Let's go. So I did. I was like, you know what? Once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm going to do it. And they had the perks of comedy. They had a free lunch buffet. Okay, we love to see that, a free lunch buffet at the event. Take a wild stab in the dark at what was on the menu on a hot July afternoon at the nudie beach, okay? Most people say hot dogs. I understand, that's phallic, but no, it wasn't hot dogs. It was racks of ribs. Racks of ribs! Absolutely insane. Yes, picture it. This girl nubs down in a platter of ribs, okay? It was cute. It was cute. Barbecue sauce just dripping down my naked chest. Listen, what I'm saying is I'm very easy to book. But I did it. I was like, you gotta say yes. You know the power of yes. My friends had questions, okay? They wanted to know more about it. They said, so are you gonna be completely naked? And I said, yes, I'm gonna be completely naked. And they go, so are you gonna wear your leg? And I said, pardon? And they go, your fake leg, are you gonna wear your fake leg? And I said, yeah, of course. Obviously, I'm gonna wear my fake leg to the gig. And they said, oh, so you're not gonna be completely naked. I was like, it's not a scarf. What are you talking about? Do you think the leg is like this fashion accessory I've been trying to make a look all these years? Absolutely not. It's a functional assistive device, you know? I don't wake up in the morning, look at myself in the full-length mirror and go, you know what would make these earrings look great today? The leg. Let's bust it out. It's insane. And thank you also for having the fans blasting. I'm a chronic overheater, so I really appreciate the nice fresh air, the fans blasting. I know this is a minority opinion, but I'm not a fan of summer, okay? I'm not a big fan of summer. I know the weather is getting nicer, but I find that nice weather is very bad for my bank account, okay? Is anyone else thriving during the year, but then their bank account is in overdraft from May to September simply because you felt a cool breeze and felt inspired to buy everything you see? I don't know what it is about the sun being out that makes me think I'm richer than I am, but it's a problem. It's a problem. A couple of UV rays hit my face. I see a Pomeranian on the street, and I'm like, drinks on me, everyone. Keep them coming. I gotta stop. But I don't drink a lot. I don't know if you guys are big partiers. Are we big partiers here? Big Wednesday night plans tonight? Heading out? They're always in the back. The partiers are always in the back. I don't drink very much, mostly because I'm a nightmare when I'm drunk. I don't know if anyone else is a complete train wreck when they drink, but that's me. I'm not cute. I can't make it cute. Whenever I'm drunk, I'm always the only one on the dance floor who looks like she's trying to enter the spirit world, you know? Just a lot of flailing around, a lot of swaying, just screaming absolute gibberish, you know? My friends have to pull me out of the club. The next thing I know, I'm face down in a Burger King parking lot, just screaming gibberish. I'm like, guys, I can't feel my fingers. They're like, you're an idiot. This is stupid. Can't take her anywhere. I can't do it. Plus, also, you know, as you get older, you can't drink the same as when you're 18, right? Things are different. Your body reacts differently. You know that age is starting to set in a little bit when you have to tell yourself to stop drinking at 9:00 p.m., but you're not even talking about alcohol, just all liquid, just everything, you know, all substances. 8:45 rolls around, you're like, oh shit, better polish off this grapefruit bubbly or things are gonna get squirrely real fast. I'm going to end on a favorite joke of mine. Why not? You know, it's been a great day, and I know you guys have some socializing and refreshments to get to after this, and so I just want to thank you. I'm going to have to run after, but I thank you so much for having me in your celebration. And there's so many incredible people in this room, and it's just an honor for me to just be a small part of it. So I thank you so much for having me. I did a show for CILT back in the pandemic on Zoom, and so we've come a long way, and I'm so happy to be here. But I will say this. A lot of people will ask me, as a disabled person, as an amputee, you know, the number one question I always receive is, don't you ever wish that you had hands? That's always what people ask me. You know, aren't there times where you just wish to yourself, oh, I wish that I had hands? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? I'm going to be very honest. I don't wish I had hands. I mostly just wish everyone else didn't have hands. That would be good for me if this was a group effort. If we could all collectively struggle over a jar of Skippy peanut butter, I would love it. No, I don't wish I had hands, but I do have one single wish, and it's this. I wish that I had a celebrity look-alike. Oh, that seems so fun to have a doppelganger, a celebrity look-alike, someone that you get stopped on the street and told that you look like someone famous. It just seems like the coolest experience ever. And I was telling my friends this. I was lamenting the fact that I don't have a celebrity look-alike. And my friends, as able-bodied and ignorant as they are, but well-meaning, they tried to make me feel better. And so they said, "Oh, yes, you do, Courtney. Of course you have a celebrity doppelganger." And I said, "Who?" And they go, "Haven't you ever seen the movie Mad Max?" Now, if you are not familiar with that movie, there is a character in the movie named Furiosa. The one they were referring to starred Charlize Theron, and she plays like this super cool, badass amputee, okay? Now, I was like, that doesn't count at all because it's CGI. It's special effects, right? Like it's Charlize Theron. She's not really an amputee, right? Which, to be honest, begs the question, why didn't she commit to the role? Okay, right? Nothing about us without us. But more importantly, I was like, yeah, that doesn't count at all. Now, however, there has been one single experience where I was legitimately mistaken for a celebrity, okay? It only happened once, and it will probably never happen again, but it was the best night of my life, okay? This is what happened. I was at a bar, and this woman came rushing up to me. She taps me on the shoulder. I whip around. She's beside herself with excitement. She's so excited. She goes, "I know you. I know who you are." And I'm just looking at her wide-eyed, and she goes, "You're Nelly Furtado." Okay? She goes, "You're Nelly Furtado." And I was just agag. I was like, oh my God. She was like, I can't. She was absolutely so excited. She was like, "Oh my God." She's like, "I can't believe Nelly Furtado, you're right here in this bar." She's like, "I'm a huge fan." She's like, "I've been always wanting to meet you. You're amazing. I'm a huge fan, Nelly Furtado." And I was just so flattered in that moment that I just became Nelly Furtado. I just embodied the role of Nelly Furtado because this was the best thing. I've never heard this before. And a lot of you, for those of you who, can look at me, and even if you can't, I promise you, I look nothing like Nelly Furtado. And I need you to know that I know that. I need you to know that I know that. But in this moment, I was just so flattered that I just took it on, okay? And this woman is raving. She's going on. She's like, "Oh my God, Nelly Furtado, this is the best thing." She's asking for autographs. She's asking for selfies, okay? She's just the biggest fan. Now, I went home that night, and when I went to bed that night, I thought, oh my God, if I never get mistaken for a celebrity ever again for the rest of my life, I know that there is a woman out there who thinks that I'm Nelly Furtado, and that's fucking amazing, right? But some time has passed now since that. I've come down from the high. And now, when I think about that encounter, from this lady's perspective, a self-proclaimed huge fan of Nelly Furtado, I can't help but wonder why she didn't have at least one question for me. Okay? Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's something like, what the hell happened to Nelly Furtado? Right? She had no questions. No, it blew my mind when I thought about it this way. I was like, that woman just walked into a bar, spotted recently armless Nelly Furtado, and was like, no notes, no notes. I gotta get an autograph. Wow, the confidence. I couldn't believe it. I was dying laugh at that because I could not believe. I was like, she said she's a huge fan. I was like, I can't tell if this lady is either the least observant person I've ever met in my life or possibly the most progressive, you know? Maybe she's like, I don't see hands. I don't see them. I wouldn't know. Limbs or no limbs, I wouldn't know. I don't see them. I couldn't believe it. It tickled me. It was so funny to me. I loved it. Now, I've been telling that story for a while now. I've been, sometimes I will end my set as I'm about to on this story. And there was one weekend of shows that I was doing in London, Ontario, and the shows were going very poorly because it's London, Ontario. And and me and the host of these shows, the whole time we're just having a bad time, okay? So, to cheer ourselves up, just as a nice, funny, cute little gag, what we would do is I would end my set on the Nelly Furtado joke, and right as I would leave the stage, the host would come back on, he would take the microphone from me, he would lean into the crowd, and as I was exiting the stage, he would go, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Nelly Furtado. Nelly Furtado right here in London, Ontario, doing stand-up for the first time. Nelly Furtado, let her hear it. Now, was it stupid? Yes, but we loved it. Did it the whole weekend, okay? But on the last night, the very last night of shows, while I was on stage, I didn't realize it at the time, but the host had to slip out and take a phone call during my set and ended up missing my whole set. And for whatever reason, this night, I didn't do the Nelly Furtado joke, okay? I just forgot. It slipped my mind, okay? So I wrap up my set on a completely different joke. The host comes running back in right in the nick of time, okay? I say goodnight. He comes on stage. He takes the microphone. And as I'm exiting the stage, he leans into the crowd, thinking I had just done the Nelly Furtado joke, and goes, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Nelly Furtado, everyone. Keep it going for Nelly Furtado. And me and the comics backstage were dying laughing. And I'm peeking around the corner, around the curtains, and I can see the whole audience's faces. I can see every single person has the exact same expression on their face, and they're all looking at each other and thinking to themselves, that was Nelly Furtado? What the hell happened to Nelly Furtado? And then one woman's voice just at the very back goes, I fucking knew it! You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I'm Courtney Gilmore. Congratulations on 40 years. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Courtney. That was hilarious. I personally related to very much of what you had to say. Thank you. Can we hear it for Courtney one more time? Brilliant. Thank you. So here we are. We are way over time. I think we're supposed to be out of the room at 4. Is that right? 4:30. Okay, so we might have about 30 minutes for folks to kind of hang around and say hello and maybe visit the dessert section again and get a little bit more food. But this is it. This is our 40th anniversary celebration. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. If you're anything like me, you're probably feeling a little bit full of food, of stories, and of the kind of hope that only comes from being surrounded by your people, your community. So thank you, everybody, for that. These kinds of events do not run themselves, so I have a few thank yous that I would like to share with you. To our ever gracious and lovely host, David Myers, thank you very much for being the host with the most. We might draft you into some of the CILT board meetings, we'll see. To Darren Cooper and our CILT board of directors, thank you for your steady leadership and for guiding everything that we do. Thank you. To our CILT members, thank you for holding us to the standard of our values every single day. Thank you. Yeah, woo! And a huge thank you to our CILT staff team, past, present, and future. You are the ones doing the daily, complex, heartfelt work of bringing independent living to life. You remind us every day, just as the board does and just as our members do, that this movement is real because we make it real for thousands of people across Ontario and beyond. So thank you. To Hope Adina, thank you for starting us off in such a lovely way with a reminder that equity is intersectional, always. And again, Courtney, thank you for making us laugh and reminding us that joy is a form of resistance. And to the team at Hart House, thank you for making our event not only beautiful, but welcoming and inclusive. And to Amanda Dorder and Kyle Armstrong, our gala dream team. Where is Amanda? Amanda, where are you? Okay, so I'll keep going, but they were our gala dream team, and I just wanted to say thank you for rolling with every change, every twist, and every last-minute request with such grace. I want to say thanks to the Safe Air Collective for generously providing us with air filters today. Amanda, I wanted to say thank you to you and to Kyle. Thank you both. There were a lot of discussions that went into today, so thank you both. And also, as I said, to the Safe Air Collective, and of course to all of you for showing up, for celebrating, for continuing to believe that better, more inclusive systems, a better and more inclusive world is not only possible, but it's necessary. Congratulations to the recipients of the Sandra Carpenter and Vic Willi Awards. What an amazing pair of folks, right? Everybody needs to go away and have a look at their work. And it's inspiring to see Vic and Sandra's legacies live on, and we carry that with us. So, the future that we're building, by the way, is one where access is baseline. It's not a battle. Where inclusion is embedded in every system, where we do not have to justify our existence, we just get to live it and enjoy it. At CILT, we're going to keep pushing. We will keep listening and we will keep building. Independent living isn't just a model, it's a philosophy. It's a revolution, a daily act of defiance, in a world that often asks us as disabled people to be smaller and take up less space. We're not going to do that. So bring your voice, bring your joy, bring your stubbornness. We need it all. So thank you, and thank you for your presence, your work, and your belief in what's possible. Happy 40th CILT, and here's to our next 40 years. Thank you.